If you're trying to build your first UX design portfolio with personal projects to land a client project, this tutorial is for you. I will show you how to design your portfolio homepage using Framer, from wireframing, storytelling, all the way to detailed visual design. Even if you don't have any real client work to showcase, you can still make a strong portfolio and you will learn how. Framer is the best tool I've found for building portfolio websites. You can design and launch your site all in one place. Click the link in the description to get started. Thank you, Framer, for sponsoring today's video. And if you're using another tool, the overall process is still the same. Let's start by wireframing your homepage, and you can just steal this structure. For your top navigation, include your name and the main call to action. The call to action is usually just email me. And if you have a strong LinkedIn profile or other social media that are well established and related to UX design, you can include them, otherwise don't. For your hero section, include a heading, a subheading, and maybe even a proof line to pitch your design service. Recently, I've seen a lot of people including a huge photo of themselves here. I do not recommend that because you're trying to be a designer, not a model. Right below your hero section, add 1 to 4 strong case studies, and each case study should have a clear thumbnail, a title, a description, and an impact summary. Only include the strongest projects. Don't try to show everything you've practiced. Quality over quantity. And the goal of your portfolio is to persuade, not to document. And at the very bottom of the page, add another heading, another body paragraph, and a call to action button to encourage your potential client to email you. You can use pen and paper for this step. You can also use Figma, and you can also use Framer design pages. Pen and paper is fast and satisfying. Figma is great if you want to keep your design with the rest of your design files. I'm using Framer design pages because later on, we can turn the design into a live website in just 2 clicks within the same tool. So if you're also using Framer, everything under design is a design page, meaning it's a working file that's not live yet. Everything under pages is for development, and those are for launching the website. You will learn it later. You use Framer design pages just like any other design tool, and even the shortcuts are mostly the same as Figma. T is for text and R is for rectangle. This is of course a very low fidelity wireframe, but at least now you have a clear starting point. Next, you'll learn how to choose the right case studies. Follow this order. Your first case study is the most important one. And once you have a client project in the future, this one will be replaced by that client project. But for now, choose your strongest and most recent personal project. Ideally, it should align with the type of work you want to do for your clients. So if you want to help wellness startups to redesign their websites to improve conversion, then the most ideal case study could be something like a wellness website redesign. If you want to design for fintech apps from 0 to 1, then show something like a fintech app design. Even better if you vibe coded the product and make it functional with AI. So start by picking the first case study and clearly label it. For additional case studies, only include them if they are strong and add more value. It is okay if you only have 1 case study for now. The examples I will showcase today also only have 1 case study. And just in case, if you feel like you don't have a strong case study, or if your current project doesn't match the work you really want to do, or you're not even sure what kind of client project you want to do, these are all completely normal. And for now, the goal is not perfection. So just pick 1 project to showcase, and you can always replace your case studies later. Your taste and the industry standards are always changing, so your portfolio will never be perfect, and it will evolve over time. Before we jump into design, it is really important to look at a lot of great portfolio examples. And this can be anything from personal portfolios, agency websites, or even just random sites you really like the style of. I've included a list of examples in the free PDF in the description. Go download it and check those out. There's this concept that I really love from the book Steal Like an Artist. Not the exact quote, but the idea is something like this. If someone accuses you of plagiarism, it probably means you didn't steal enough. So in other words, don't just copy 1 reference, study a lot of great examples, and then take a little bit from each example. In this step, let's write the text for your hero section. The hero section is the top part of your homepage, and it is, well, I think it's the most important part because it sets the first impression. Today, you can use AI to your advantage to write up these texts, and I will show you how. First, please open your go-to AI assistant, and if you don't have one yet, you can use ChatGPT, Cloud, or Gemini. And you use it like chatting with a coach. First, tell it that you are creating a UX design or a product design portfolio, and you're at the stage where you want to get your first client projects and move closer to a full-time role. And you want to write the content for your hero section. And then you can ask it to suggest strong trust-building keywords for your hero. And these keywords can come from brands, schools, tools, skills, products, locations, or estimated business impact. The goal is to use these keywords to build trust quickly. And then give it a detailed introduction about yourself and your projects and what kind of service you can offer. If you have an ideal client in mind, you can describe that too. And around this time, I like to ask the AI tool to provide me some follow-up questions because I don't know what I don't know and I might have forgotten something. One very common mistake here is writing things as if you're asking for permission. Please don't say things like, I'm an aspiring designer, or I am interested in, or I am passionate about. These words make you sound like you're not really designing anything yet and you're still asking for permission to get started. AI is pretty good at avoiding this mistake, so use it as a strong starting point. And after a few iterations, you will have a list of keywords, and if your tool hasn't really written the full hero yet, you can also ask it to generate options for heading, subheading, and proof lines. Proof lines can be metrics or some text. To add text in Framer, just press T. And then on the right panel under text, you can adjust the size, color, font, but right now you just need to adjust the size. Because you are still in the wireframing stage, you are not really designing for high fidelity yet. And this first example is for those of you who want to build apps from 0 to 1. And I'm assuming you only have one case study here. This is an example of building a mobile app in the wellness space. The second example is for landing page design services, assuming you have a landing page design project. And this third one is for those of you who want to get an internship at a big tech company with a case study that looks like adding a feature to an established product. And all three examples here are not direct AI outputs. I mean, I used AI as a starting point, but then I rewrote all of them to feel more natural and sound more like me. Your content should look nothing like mine though, because you have a different background, you have different projects, and you might be in a completely different market. So steal my process, but don't copy my content. And now it is your turn to write your own hero copy. Now that we had the copy for the hero section, let us also write the case study introduction. As a beginner, this step can feel really hard, especially if your project is not real and has no real impact. But you can estimate the impact with your wise brain and AI. For a 0 to 1 app, this is what I like to do. I will tell my AI assistant the full context, explain my idea, what I designed, my process, how long it took, and what I've achieved. And again, I will ask it to provide me some follow-up questions so that I can get to a strong heading, a clear project description, and a few proof lines. The proof line can be some key metrics that show your estimated business impact. I also asked AI to help me design a revenue model for this app. And a revenue model is just a fancy way of saying, how will this app make money? Is it going to be a subscription, freemium, ads, or one-time purchase? And then based on my target market, I asked it to estimate the first year revenue and use that as an impact metric. Of course, I clearly labeled that this is an estimated metric. And I also included a net promoter score, which is measured by how likely someone is to recommend my product to other people. You can just ask a few of your friends, take the average to get that number. Beyond metrics, you can also include things like the tools you used, whether you leveraged AI, what is the industry, what is your role. If you led the project, you can position yourself as the product design lead. Here's my example for this wellness app project. I started with a clear project heading, followed by a short description of what this project is and why it matters to your client. Then I added a few tags to state my impact. Here's another example, and this one is for a landing page design project. The most important metric for a landing page design project is conversion rate. It measures how often users take the main call to action. You want to compare the old version with your design version to show the impact of your design. And if you have real analytics, then that's awesome, just include that. If not, you can still estimate it. You can ask a few people on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to take the action on this old design versus the new one? And then you can take the average and then calculate the difference. Once you have an estimated conversion rate, you can go one step further and then estimate the revenue impact as well. There are so many other creative things you can do around how to tell this story of your impact, so brainstorm with your AI tool and have fun. Here is another example of a completely different project. This is for adding a feature to an established product. And this type of project is closest to how work is actually done in big tech companies. If the company is public, you can use their financial reports. Just Google them and download them, and then you don't even have to read it yourself. You can just upload them to your AI assistant, ask it to find the key insights, and then use that to estimate the impact of your feature. This could be projected additional annual revenue or quarterly revenue. It can be conversion improvement or retention increase. And just please make sure to clearly label that all these numbers are estimates. Now it is your turn to start writing your case study summary. Have fun! We're now at the last writing step. Right now, we're going to write a strong closing section that gets the viewers to take your call to action. Make it easy for your client to care and easy for them to act. And this, again, is another place where you can use AI to help. Share your context and ask it to generate a short section that introduces you a little bit more and encourages your audience to take the next step. Here are some examples. For this app design version, my main call to action is book a free consultation. The button will link to a free Google form, or you can just build like a built-in Framer form. I like to say book a free consultation because it highlights the benefit from the client perspective. The clients are going to get real feedback from me, regardless if they want to move forward with a paid collaboration. And same for this example, which is this landing page design example. I also use book a free consultation, and it's also going to take to a Google form. And for this example, this is for those of you who want to aim for a big tech internship version. Then I think the call to action can just be email me, and a recruiter can click that button and it just copies that email. It's a pretty easy way to reach out. And at the very bottom, you can keep the footer really simple. Just your name, the year, and copyright. And now it is your turn. Pause the video and write the final section of your homepage. Now that you have the text for your homepage, it is time to bring in visual design and really make it feel like a work of art. Here are 3 major things that will shape your visual design: color, text, and graphics. I'll take you through each of them. Let's start with color. One tip is that you can literally just steal colors from your inspiration websites. And in Framer, you can use the color picker to grab the exact color of other sites and then adjust them for your own portfolio. If you want to change the background color of your entire website, select the full frame first. Then go to the right panel and add a fill color. If you want to change the color of a specific element, first, make sure you are selecting the correct layer. In Framer, you'll often have multiple layers, so go to the Layers panel and double-check that the right element is selected. Then go to the right panel to change its color. For a light mode website, the background is usually something close to white, and the text is usually something close to black, often a dark gray, and then you add one accent color. You use this accent color to fill in your call to action button and maybe a few highlighted words or maybe even some graphic details. And this accent color should be a pop color. It should feel clearly different from the rest. And it also needs to have enough contrast with the background and also enough contrast with the text on top of it. Our attention naturally goes to something that pops out, so only use this accent color for the things you want to draw attention to. And if you're designing for a dark mode website, it's just the other way around. The background is going to be something like black, the text is going to be similar to white, and then again one accent color that pops out. And of course, design rules are made to be broken. I've seen a lot of fancy portfolio sites that break all these rules and still work. But for your first portfolio, I would say let's stay safe first, and you can always add those sparkles later. It is also very unlikely that the first color palette you pick will be the best one. So as you start designing the visuals, remember design is an iterative process between divergent and convergent thinking. Now you need to use divergent thinking and make a lot of healthy mess. Try a lot of options, and you can do that in Framer by just duplicating the frame. Use a different color palette and see how it goes. After you explore a few directions, you can then step back and look at them and then decide which direction you want to pivot. And just like with color, you can take inspiration from other websites and copy their fonts. And I like to use this Chrome extension called Font Ninja. If you use this extension, it will tell you the direct font any website is using. But you might need to look at multiple inspiration because not all the fonts are free. But trust me, it is worth your time to pick the right font. And it is normal if you spend a few hours just to pick a font. Actually, you need to pick multiple fonts. A common method is using 2 fonts, one for headings and then another for body text. And for heading, you can go something bolder or more expressive. But for body text, you can use something more standard and easy to read. And I think this combination has gone pretty viral in recent years, which is using a beautiful serif font for the large headings, and then use a very standard sans serif font like Inter for the paragraph text. You can also explore different text sizes. Headings give you more room to play. You can make them huge, keep them more classic, left align them, or center align them. But for body text, a good rule of thumb is use 16 pixels or at most 18 pixels. Anything bigger than that will make you look like you have no sense of scale after you launch the site. You can also play with things like line height, letter spacing, and text color. You might use a darker color for the heading and a slightly lighter gray for the body text. This part is really fun, so pause the video and play around with these font combinations. Try different things out, don't be afraid to break things. Now let's talk about graphics. Graphics really add sparkle to your design. I'm going to start with 2 very simple ones and then show you a more advanced one later. The simplest graphic you can use, which also works really well, It's just emojis. There are so many symbols in the emoji keyboard, and a lot of them work surprisingly well as graphic details, like these ones. These are all emojis, and I just changed them to a different color to look like they are graphics. The next very common graphic is buttons and pills. Even though these are used for very different purposes, but they are created in a very similar way. In Framer, first add a text box, then right-click and choose Add Stack. Technically, you could also choose Add Frame, but I recommend Add Stack because it's basically a smarter frame. Stack in Framer is like auto layout in Figma. A stack will change its size automatically when your text gets longer or shorter. After that, add some padding under the layout section to give it more space. Then scroll down and add a fill color to give it a background color. If you want it to look more rounded, just add a corner radius. And that's basically it. For buttons, I like to make them bigger, use the accent color, and choose a slightly larger font. But for pills, I like to keep the font at a body size and make the color much more subtle, usually a soft gray, and I use pills almost like Instagram hashtags. They help me to show keywords or little categories without demanding too much attention. Now I want to show you a much more epic effect. It looks complicated, but it's really easy to set up, and this is called shaders. In Framer, click the Add icon at the top left, then go to Elements and choose Shaders. You'll see a lot of built-in visuals here. For example, this one is called Liquid Gradient. It already has motion, so it looks pretty dynamic right away. If you select it and go to the right panel, you can change things like color, speed, scale, and more. And even if you don't know what each of these means, by the way, I really don't, just play around with it to find out. And you can use this shader as a background for a section of your portfolio. Here is another epic example. I used a shader called Particles, and I adjusted it to make it feel like shooting stars. So when someone opens the page, it feels like they are moving through space. Shader is actually a new feature in Framer, so you're really lucky to learn this early. Definitely try it out. It's a very easy way to make your portfolio look epic. And when it comes to graphics, there are so many other directions you can explore. Just click the plus icon on the top left in Framer and play around with the different elements there. And if you have a background in visual art, definitely draw out your own graphics to make your portfolio feel even more personal. And again, don't be afraid to break things. Make a healthy mess right now. It is really fun. And copy my process, don't copy my design. If I have to pick one visual element that matters the most for your portfolio homepage, it will be your project thumbnails. These thumbnails show your UI skills right away and how well you can package your work into something clean and effective. To create your thumbnail in Framer, press F to add a frame. Set a background color and design your thumbnail inside it. Designing your thumbnails inside Framer will allow you to add motion effects directly to them later on. And I'll walk you through two methods for creating thumbnails. The first one is using static images. This is a 0-to-1 app project, and I will just use 3 important screens. If you design an app, focus on your most important screens like the homepage and the key steps like the happy path, the main user flow. Please do not show a boring sign up, login, or loading screen. Those do not add value. And it's also so much better to just showcase a few strong screens compared to you zoom out and then show everything. If you zoom out too much and then show everything, people cannot see anything. This is how my thumbnail looks after using the standard iPhone mockup from Figma community. And when you use these mockups, just make sure you're using the correct screen size and everything is properly aligned. I have seen way too many portfolios with like this weird gap in the mockup and then the entire screen being squeezed. Don't do that. For this other project, I designed a responsive website, so I'm going to showcase a desktop frame on one side and then a mobile frame on the other side. And I'm going to export my screens, which is just these 2 very long designs. And this time, instead of using a mockup, I created 2 frames in Framer. And then I placed the screenshots inside it, and then I added a hover effect to these 2 frames. So when you hover over it, the page scrolls slightly down. It's a little bit more complicated, and if you want to recreate the same effect, download the guide in the description. Other than static images, you can also use a short video or a GIF for your thumbnail. This works really well if your design focuses on a simple user flow that can be shown in just a few seconds. So for this project, it is a desktop experience with a simple flow I designed for eBay ads. So I used a short looping video to showcase it. In Framer, press F to create a frame. This will be the frame for my project thumbnail. I will set a fill color to this frame, then bring in the company logo because it is a well-recognized name. Next, insert a video by clicking Insert on the top left, then Media, then Video. Drag the video into the frame. On the right side panel, scroll down to the video section and click Upload. I'll choose my screen recording file. Please record the video without your voice. Keep it very simple and easy to follow. and avoid shaky cursor movements, and keep it around 5 seconds long. After uploading the video, I'll also upload a poster image here, and this is just the first frame of my video. This helps a lot with faster loading. And in the loop section, make sure to select yes so the video keeps looping. And this is how the project looks when you preview it. Pretty nice! There are so many creative ways to design your thumbnails. The key is to highlight the strength of your project and make it very clear what you designed. And you can always feel like an artist. Look at how other designers design their thumbnails and then take inspiration from that. And by this point, your design should feel much more polished. We've came such a long way and I am really proud of you. Honestly, you learned a lot already. These are things I wish I knew when I was starting out, but I didn't know. And before moving on, don't skip this chapter. This is the most important part of design, and this is asking feedback early. Please don't design in isolation and wait until everything feels perfect. The longer you stay in your own canvas, the more biased and emotionally attached you will become. Oh, I know. And you will lose that fresh perspective, and you might be perfecting the wrong direction, and you will be absolutely spiritually broken if someone gives you a negative feedback. So ask for feedback now, since you are not that emotionally attached, and iterate fast. Even if it's just asking one friend, it still helps. These are designs I brought my friend for feedback. These designs are not perfect. They are not even aligned, and the content is really rough. As I got feedback, I took quick notes beside the frames to mark what I can improve. You can also share multiple design directions with your friends and then ask them to pick the one that they like. And after asking for feedback, I was able to iterate so quickly, and within a couple of hours, I took everything from this to this, and from this to this, and from this to this. I'm showcasing 3 examples here, but you only need one portfolio just in case you got confused, okay? And this time, I made sure everything is perfectly aligned. In Framer, to align multiple elements, just select them and use the tools at the top right. You can also select multiple elements and create a stack by right-click, choose Add Stack, and edit the layout, alignment, and gap on the right side panel. Now it is your turn to ask for feedback and level up your design to a pixel-perfect portfolio homepage. You should be so proud of yourself for getting from 0 to a polished portfolio homepage. You've learned so much, though there are still a few more things you need to learn before your portfolio is really ready to launch. And this includes creating a strong case study for your project and also bring your design into development in Framer. I will link those tutorials here once they are live. And one quick warning. Just because you have a portfolio doesn't mean your clients will just magically find you and then give you a job. And if you don't have any client projects yet, I also don't recommend just attaching your portfolio and applying to a full-time jobs right away. A better way to use your portfolio is to actively pitch for paid client projects. If you want me to show you exactly how to do that, comment client, and I will consider making a dedicated tutorial video on that. My name is Aliana. I make videos about design, tech, and business. Make sure to subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't miss my content. If there's anything else you want to learn, leave a comment below. And if you want me to help you transition into a well-paid product design role in tech, check out my Figma Partner Bootcamp, Fast Track UX. I will see you in the next video. If you're trying to build your first UX design personal projects to land a client project, Uber. Click the link in the description. Sorry.